Welcome to Marvel Vision, a podcast about Marvel, the MCU, and right now, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm your friendly neighborhood Alex.
I'm your unfriendly sort of kitty corner neighbor. Like, I'm nearby, but mad. Justin.
I'm Pete.
And where are you located, Pete? Like, just physically, are you in the neighborhood? Or are you
like in this hypothetical area that we're talking about?
I guess
you're
you're
country Pete. You're
in
country
the
Pete. You
darkest corners of the city.
Oh, jeez. Oh, terrifying. Well, we're going to be talking about the first two episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which dropped on Disney+. First one's Amazing Fantasy. Second one is The Parker Luck. If you haven't watched them, go watch them because we're going to spoil them. But the first episode, we get a different twist on the Peter Parker origin, more of the MCU side of things, and we expect that things are going to happen that way as he heads to his first day at high school. But instead, Doctor Strange, an unnamed black symbiote, who is definitely not named Venom because of
seemed like more of a dark blue than black.
Yeah, it's not. It's not Venom. Don't even.
And more of a beetle than a spider.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
More of a monster, really.
Anyway, they fight through, destroy the high school, and in the process, a spider gets cut by a portal, lands on Peter Parker, gives him spider powers.
One lone spider.
Over the rest of the episode, we watch as we built out his cast, his best friend, Nico Minoru, who Justin hates. Thinks is crazy.
Canonical best friend Nico.
Okay.
What are you talking about? They're adorable together.
No,
I love them.
Justin's been on a tear the past couple of months about how overexposed Nico Minoru is because she's on the show and also in
we
one
do the show
book
together.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's not that I like Nico. I think it's funny when a lot of people have the same idea, and Nico has been featured in a lot of things lately. Huh? And a lot of comic books as well.
One comic book, one TV show. Anyway,
is he going to get back to the recap, or can we?
I'll get back to the recap,
right,
then we can pick up this argument that I'm sure everybody loves immediately afterwards.
Yep.
So we also meet Lottie, the girl Pearl, who is his dream girl, used to be his babysitter, now he's in love with her, and Lottie Lincoln, who's now her boyfriend, but actually a very cool dude who becomes friends with Peter as well. And at the end of the first episode, he has a mentor who stops by his apartment to offer him an internship. You think it's Tony Stark, and it is not. It's Norman Osborn, played by Coleman Domingo. And in the second episode, we get to see that internship at Oscorp, along with a bunch of fabulous guest stars, including Asha, a Wakandan, Amadeus Cho, who
shouts to Greg Pak
often, and Jean Foucault, who everybody knows is Taskmaster's daughter. We all knew that offhand.
Finesse. Yeah, of course we know.
Yeah, Don't forget about Dr. Connors. Don't forget about Dr. Connors.
I'm getting there. And we get a lot of other guest stars like Dr. Connors, and I'm forgetting the actual name, Dr. Whitman, Bradley Whitman, the Wizard, a couple of others. And at the end of the episode, after stopping a fire guy named Butane, it turns out that Norman Osborn has discovered that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Uh-oh. And that's where we end the second episode. So 2 big episodes here. Going into the show, I know Pete was pretty down on the animation style, so you're not looking forward to it. So hold off on your thoughts for a second. Justin was very high on it, so let's start on a positive and hear what you overall thought about these first 2 eps.
I'd like the animation style, if we want to start there. It has a retro modernist sort of take, I feel like. There's a lot of like looking back at Spidey origin while at the same time really mashing it up in a way that I don't think any of us could have predicted. Like, and doing it in a way where it doesn't want to be analyzed. Like, we're not meant to sit here and wonder where that spider came from. Maybe we'll return to that later in the season, but like it is.
That's all I've been thinking about, and that spider's still on the loose in this world.
Yes, but we're not meant to. The show isn't dwelling on it. That stuff happens.
Just
we flash forward, and he's developed the web shooters with a new scuba tank, probably
Scuba Steve,
an encumbering scuba tank that he has to fly swing around with, and then we're off. Like, there's not a lot of the usual origin stuff where we really get into that, is just sort of moved past. And that's interesting. It's different. And there's a lot of different things going on in this show, character-wise. But still a lot of the same relationships. The biggest thing that I think I would want to talk about with you guys is the Uncle Ben-ness of it all is erased. Uncle Ben has died, but it's before he gets powers, so the great responsibility conundrum that is the main engine of Spider-Man in all other iterations does not exist here.
Well, let's hold on to that thought and definitely come back to it. Pete's raising his hand, so take it away, Mr. Negative Nelly. Oh, yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So is this just kind of like a what if Spider-Man because of like all the changes and
So here's the thing that I was going to bring
because
up.
I just watched What If and it was like,
I
hey,
know
that
we
was
haven't
cool.
taped our What If episode yet, so I don't want to.
What if we taped that before we shot this?
We should have
ultimate
taped
what if.
that. We will. But without getting too derailed with thoughts about What If, just based on these 2 episodes, I think this show is doing a better job of What If than What If did.
Oh, how dare you, sir? How dare you?
What if I think that you have spent 3 seasons railing against and talk about how much you hate both in the animated show and also in the comic books? And then how dare I? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Well,
cool.
but let's boil it down. Like,
Fun summary.
What if is just another way of saying
summary. That's me.
What if is another way of saying, like, how about this? And that's what this show is. That's what all shows are, really. It's their, whatever this new creative team's take on the character is. Anytime there's a reboot, it is technically a what if.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, actually. They should call the comic book How About This as well. Like, what do you think?
What do you think? Huh? Check out these changes. Enough for you or not enough?
I would argue it should be like,
or is
I think it should be okay! Exclamation point.
Hey,
how
is
about
this okay, nerds?
Okay, how about this? Does this make you happy?
Still trying to milk this idea. Is this okay? We're out of stuff, so we're just gonna keep retreading. First off, what I'd like to talk about.
This is not first off. I would
well, it's my first time talking.
How about this?
And
How about this?
How about this? Okay. How
what do you think about this? Huh? So I'd like to talk about the positives. It felt like Peter Parker, which was nice. It felt like, so that was exciting to me. The feeling I got, but it's hard. I am old now, and there's a lot of things that hit.
Spoiler.
A lot of things that hit different now, and so it's tough because.
Just tell us which part in the episodes made your knees hurt the worst.
It's
funny because I'm like, I'm seeing things. I'm like, Aunt May, really? This is your parenting style? You're going to reward him for being late by picking up and offering him a ride? Like, what are we doing? What kind of responsibility is this teaching? You know what I mean? So like,
that's not old. That's just being an asshole.
Oh, okay. Well, I've never thought about that in my life. I've always just been like, this guy's the same name as me. I'm going to put myself in this position. And now I'm like more Aunt Maying it up like, oh, God.
I would argue you're trying to parent Aunt May here. You're like anti-Aunt May, the nicest woman.
She is the nicest.
Canonically.
Yeah. But I can't stop thinking because it wasn't just that one shot of the spider. Also, like we kind of was like, going out, he blinked and saw the spider like crawling onto somebody else's bag. So I was like, oh
Miles?
my God. Who?
Do we think it's Miles?
Yeah, that's what I've been like.
Probably.
You can't, it's not like they're like, oh, they kind of teased it a little bit. So I've been thinking about
it. Well, they teased it. And if we're just while we're talking about it, Doctor Strange is like, we're not supposed to be here. So clearly there is some multiverse stuff going on. And I do think we will come back to it probably at the end of the season, though we also know there's a second season, so it could be an ongoing plot point that they keep hitting.
And while we're here, fun Doctor Strange. I liked his like, I'm never going to use this spell again. That was fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Felt like a cool Doctor Strange. The cape was great, so that was nice to see. But yeah, the animation does suck. I mean, it's what I like the art style because it has this old kind of like comic book feel with the shading and different stuff that they do. The kind of Art Deco look is interesting, but the kind of like it is very computer generated. Like that opening shot of Queens was very computer. So it was just like I wanted to feel artistic and more fun.
By that you mean hand drawn?
Or, just trying to make it not look so blocky and,
Do you like the Spider-Verse movie animation style?
Yes, I do. Yes, very much so.
Interesting. Because this feels like a TV, like a more retro TV version of that, where it's more. And I was surprised to see the comic book panels appearing. That feels very like we've.
I love the
done
opening
this
credits
before.
with the like cover and stuff like that. That's fun, and the kind of take on the song where it's like sampled the old song. That's just cool.
Well, so to Pete's point, I do like the animation style and I do think it's fun, but I understand what you're saying here, Pete, because maybe it's TV budget, maybe it's time, maybe it's just what they're going for, but they don't quite integrate it as well as the Spider-Verse stuff, where they're really thinking about every single frame individually, and clearly Sony is giving them the time to do that. Here, they've got what I think is very neat, this Steve Ditko inspired art style for the characters and everything. But like you're saying, a lot of the backgrounds in particular are digitally generated and they're not in the same style. So it gives this sense of almost like playing a mobile game with Spider-Man sometimes while he's moving. It doesn't take too much away from me, but I understand what you're saying here, Pete.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and how you brought up something I want to talk about. I'm a little disappointed we got this far into it without talking about the Marvel flip.
Disappointed in yourself?
Yep. So the kind of like do the Marvel animation flip, which is kind of cool, nice. But then Marvel Zombies getting a big shout out. So I thought that was very interesting to kind of a random thing to plug. I guess you're just using the Marvel flip to plug other projects. I don't know. It just seemed weird on a Spidey thing.
You brought this up already. You already talked about this. I don't even think it was with What If. It was like whatever was before that. You've mentioned this before several times.
Also, that guy, talk about a light plug. You just see an image of them. I don't think it's ramming it down the throat, but
I don't. But it's an interesting promotion.
They're showing a continuity. They start with the original Amazing Spider-Man cartoon from 1967, and they're going all the way through Marvel Zombies. And there's probably some Eyes of Wakanda in there. That's coming later this year. So it's just a continuity of animation. And I think there's enough to talk about this episode that we could probably move on from the Marvel flip. You guys mentioned the Aunt May weirdness a little bit. The thing that I thought was interesting, that was surprising to me, that I was thinking about while I was watching this episode, or these episodes, was that they are basing this in the continuity of the MCU. Like, this is not the comic book Spider-Man. This is Marissa Tomei's Aunt May. And you were mentioning the Uncle Ben thing. That's the same way as in Spider-Man Homecoming. He's already dead or gone or something, we don't know. They're also not specific here. Same thing with the shot of, like I was saying, with Norman Osborn when he shows up. It's exactly like Tony Stark. There's supposed to be a twist there. And what occurred to me is we've read comics our entire lives. We know Peter Parker's origin, but there's a lot of people that just watch the MCU and just know the MCU and don't even know, like, Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield. Just Tom Holland is their Spider-Man over the course of these movies, and that's what they're playing off of here. It's weird for me, a person that has lived with it for decades at this point, but I do think it makes a lot of sense from their perspective to do that more modern origin.
And that's kind of my point, is I'm getting almost too old for Spider-Man. I've seen too much Spider-Man where it's like I can't come at it fresh and new and be like, oh, this is exciting. Like, I'm in too deep to be able to enjoy this a little bit. Also, like,
we're just on that real quick, because that's an interesting point. Did you feel that way, not to ask the same question again, for Spider-Verse, which is also a Spider-Man origin?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the idea of doing the origin story again and again and again and again and again. Like, I'm over the joke. I don't like the joke anymore. Like, I don't need to see him to get.
He's talking about the thing in the first Spider-Verse movie where he's like, okay, let's do this one more time.
Everybody does the origin story again, and everybody does the origin story.
That's a big problem for him.
Well, I just think it's a done to death bit. That, like,
I don't have nothing to do with this. He's asking you specifically about the origin, the feeling of the origin story, not the.
Well, I'm just talking about. You said you're too old for the Spider-Man right now on this show. Did you feel that way in Spider-Verse? Is what I'm saying.
Not as much, but that's an interesting point.
So on that, I would argue, I think maybe what the feeling you're identifying with is that this feels like, you're saying, Alex, MCU based, but the actual Peter Parker is like the 1960s style Peter Parker. Down to a lot of the dialogue, I'm like, guys, this is like so old. And it feels, that's the part to me that struck me as the most strange, is the dialogue, some of the things that happen. There's a line, we actually listen to the same bands. I was like, when was this line written? It's so weird. No one talks like that anymore. Yeah. And it feels like what an old person thinks a kid would say in the 90s. So it's just wrong twice in a weird way. He finds a free DVD player. I was like, what? That feels, what is he, like he's an anti-streaming guy? Yeah. Well, but that's what I mean. Like, is that a misjudgment to put that in, or is it a comment on Peter Parker being like a weird old man?
No. That happens in Homecoming, right?
Yeah, it happens in Homecoming.
Yeah, but sure. But like, are we making a reference there? I feel like it's meant to be looked at with fresh eyes. Even in Homecoming, that was on the edge of being old.
For sure.
So why are we replicating?
I think they're just doing exactly what we're talking about. Like, it's what if, except with specifically Homecoming, except we're old. Yeah. How about that?
Well, how about that? Except we're old. Because here's the problem with me being old is he runs into the football player and he's like, yo, everybody, what's up? Hey, all these giant dudes, this is my he's my science partner. I cringed. I ducked. I was like, oh, he's going to get murdered. And they were like, hey, what's up, bro? And I was just like, oh, I'm so old. I was like, these jocks are going to murder this nerd. Like, I have such like PTSD. Like, I thought for sure Spidey was a dead man walking, and it wasn't even an issue. And I was just like, oh, wow, I am ridiculous.
Yeah, but both of you, but the things you guys are both saying are sort of assuming the target audience for this show are men in their 40s.
No, that's what I'm saying. This isn't for us, man.
No, I don't think it's men in their 40s.
But then why are they replicating something that's come before?
Yeah.
Because the whole point of doing that is...
They're replicating... Well, first of all, this has been development for a while. I think at least 4 or 5 years at this point. So it's been on the back burner for a bit, and that's certainly closer to when Homecoming came out. The thing that I think we're... well, not necessarily talking around, but the thing that stuck out to me about the show, I enjoyed the show. I thought this was fun. Yeah. I have some quibbles that I'm sure we can get into later, but like the thing that stuck out like a sore thumb, kind of like you're saying, Justin, was Peter Parker. Like the rest of the show, my big impression here is like, oh, this is a Miles Morales show, except for one character who is Peter Parker. And it's weird. Like he seems like you're saying, visually and the way that he's acting, he's plucked out of the original Stan Lee, Steve Ditko comics and put in this world that is the MCU, where he's supposed to be Tom Holland, but also everything that's revolving around him, from the music to the look to the feel of the cast to everything, feels like it would be way more appropriate and make sense for Miles Morales.
Maybe Miles, or at least just an updated version of Peter. Like, I think that's your choice.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I mean, like, this is Peter Parker. He's kind of like an old-timey dork, even in the comics now, for the most part, versus Miles, like you're saying, is able to keep up with current talk, current people, current music, etc. I don't know. I think you could throw him into pretty much the same situations. It would tweak the dialogue. It would obviously change Aunt May into his parents, but I don't know. That was my impression there.
Yeah, but I guess that's still... It feels like this show is meant for... Maybe they're trying to tread a line of being like, this is perfect because it's for all the people that have been reading comics and watching Spider-Man for their entire longer lives, i.e. Pete is old. And it's also for younger people. I just feel like they missed the mark with the younger people by making Peter Parker feel so out of touch.
Right. And you are our youth correspondent, so you should...
He is the youngest one. I mean...
I am the youngest one. I'm still older than what I would assume is the target audience here. But I'm just trying to parse why they're making the choices that they're making. Mm-hmm. I mean, I watched this morning with my younger daughter who's 6, and she was like, I like this. But I was like, you don't even know what a DVD is. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know.
Why don't we talk about some other stuff in the episode? We get a new love interest in the form of Pearl. This is a character that I believe was created by Greg Pak and Neil Francis Yu in Agents of Atlas. She is usually a character called Wave, and she has water powers, but here she's a expert swimmer. So good translation there. And I like how they're, on that note, like, littering the world with all of these characters that could or could not be who we think they are.
Well, that's tough, man.
Tough.
Well, you don't like it because
it's stressful because I was like, dude, are we gonna get all of these, origin stories?
Probably.
Like, oh my god.
Well, that's what's strange, and that's what they did in the '90s Spider-Man series. Basically, by the end of it, everyone had superpowers and was a part of the superhero story because it went on for so long, and that's cool in some ways. But they're seeding it so hard to the point where all of the Easter egg characters you mentioned, great. Did you clock the security guard at Oscorp in the second episode has a name tag that says Jay Gallo, who is the character Ricochet, I think?
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, chill.
Dude, that's what I'm saying, though. It's just like, also, I'm worried, like, do I have to watch another Dr. Connor not become the lizard? Because that's also stressful.
Definitely. But that goes back to what I was saying is like, we know all this stuff. Those references are for us. A kid, and I guess they're like a kid can just absorb it and not get him as much, but I'm like, it just feels like it's a little tight, and I want it to be a little more loose where we don't have to, because even a kid's gonna be like, what does Jay Gallo mean on his name tag? When it's like, oh, we were setting up a possible Ricochet, rather than spending all your time putting these Easter eggs in, rewrite the dialogue about the DVD player again.
Oh, wow. Ooh. Okay, that's your one quibble there, or your big quibble there.
Also, we actually listen to the same bands, could take another pass.
All right, fair enough.
My favorite Beatles album. We have the same opinion on the favorite Beatles. You know what I mean? Come on, that's...
I think this is the sort of thing that you can throw these characters in and follow them forward or not, but then they are there to use. They're part of your toolbox, potentially. And I understand what you're saying, where it is at a level where, like, particularly when they get to the interns at Oscorp, and literally every single person in there is somebody else. For us who are comic brain pilled, that is too much to handle at that point. But like you're saying, or like we're kind of talking around, if this is actually supposed to be for MCU audiences who have seen like one supervillain per movie, and that's pretty much it, this is potentially putting a lot of other stuff out there and giving them a lot of play of like, I don't think we're ever going to see the Wizard. We're not going to see, we saw the Lizard in No Way Home, but that was another lizard that was not part of this younger Peter Parker's world. So
the Wizard connect. They're co-workers.
Yeah. Do you think Blizzard will show up? Blizzard?
I do, while we're saying silly things, I am happy that they're keeping the name, like Lonnie Lincoln, you know what I mean? Like we're getting the fun Spider-Man first name, last name, same letter kind of deal going on. So there is some nice continuity.
Wait, that reminded me of something. There was, I actually think it was yesterday, there was a quote on Collider. There was an interview with Hudson Thames, which, as we all know, is a made-up name for the actor who plays Peter Parker. He said that he was so glad that this show wasn't woke. That's the thing that he was most proud of, or something like that with the show. God. Which at the time I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. Shut up, idiot. But then watching the show, that's crazy. Like, what in the world? Not that I agree with any of that stuff, but like watching a show where his best friend is bisexual, it's an incredibly diverse cast. And in the first episode, the reason I brought this up is I thought the stuff with Lonnie was great, even if it over exaggerated 125th Street like a little bit.
Yes, 125th Street is gentrified AF.
I mean, they brought it back to the 90s in that clip.
Yes. But I understood the point there.
Exactly.
I thought it was kind of a powerful ride home for him. There was a lot of nuance going on there.
And I like that. That was where the show felt the most alive. Because I was like, we're following this guy home. Cool. Yeah. And we learn about a character that I'm like, I don't know exactly what this story is, being a lifelong comic book reader. So that's exciting.
And we also learn about racism.
Yes, we learn about racism, we learn about gentrification and class divides and all of those things, and that is what woke is, and it's good. We should have more stories like this, so I don't know if he didn't read the script or he doesn't know the word beats or something like that, but what a crazy...
Having watched the episodes, I think he is using woke is a thing that so many people say now, and everyone it means something else. I think it's even beyond the politics of saying that now. It's a word to use that I think is maybe a wrong choice now because its meaning is so amorphous. What I think the version of woke he was saying, this is being very generous on the political front, but saying cringe is what I think
what he's clearly saying is that Spider-Man's always late and he needs to wake up early.
He does.
The show's not woke. He's late all the time because he's not awake. A woke show. Yeah.
Peter Parker's not woke.
Yeah.
He's not woken up.
He's not woken up on time. So it's,
Oh, yeah.
That's the most generous take right there.
Yeah. Though we all know what the real take is, this guy's an idiot. There's a lot of other good stuff in here. But one other thing that I want to give, like the quibbling thing that I mentioned earlier, and I know I get on this soapbox a lot.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, man, I love when Alex is on a soapbox. Another not old reference.
Yeah,
I feel like Peter Parker should say that.
Yeah.
Next episode, maybe.
Yeah, everybody knows what a soapbox is and why you would be on it.
I use shower gel, Alex. What year are you from?
I think they did a better job in the second episode of having it feel episodic, but they're really pushing the serial nature of the show, which is fine. The first episode did not feel like an episode of television to me. It felt like a bunch of things happening, and they tried to give it an emotional bent with it being like, oh, I like this girl, Pearl. I don't know if I could ask her out. Hey, I will ask her out. Now I don't. And then some other things happened, but like that was supposed to be the focus, but it got lost in a bunch
How about
things.
Nico having the inside scoop of being like, you better do it soon because I know somebody who's about to ask him out. I was like, Nico's got her ear to the streets, man.
Yes,
she knows what's up.
I'll tell you what. Nico sitting next to Pearl in the second episode, I was like, okay, wait, maybe this is actually going to happen. Like, maybe
I think so. That was my take coming out of it, and that will be a problem for their relationship, I guess. Yeah. But it doesn't feel like Pearl doesn't feel like actually Peter Parker's Mary Jane or Gwen. Yeah. Like it feels like something that's happening here and that is unrelated to him.
Yeah, what I want to see, given what we're talking about with the Lonnie thing, is like, this is more going forward, but now that they've got the origin stuff out of the way, we're not even into the part where whatever is going to be going on with Norman and Peter, which, spoilers, but this was part of the pitch of the show, is like he's going to be his mentor instead of Tony Stark. So, like, I guess we're going to get that in the third episode. So maybe by the third episode, we'll be off to the races and get more of that episodic structure now that everything's sawed off. But like, Lonnie is clearly a character. We've gotten some great interesting notes from him, both in the first and the second episode. But Pearl is kind of just the crush, and we don't know much about her. Even Nico, who I really want to like, is just like, I'm your best friend and I'm here to give you advice, period. So I want to know more about her. What?
Don't take shots at Nico, bro. All right?
I'm not.
Tell us another thing about her. Like, we just don't know enough.
Well, she was having a tough time at the party. You know what I mean? And she needs Peter to be there and be comfortable and be a part. Even though she doesn't, she could. That
was
just
only a way of highlighting his being late and overbooked.
Yeah, all of her stuff
How
right now
dare
is about
you?
Peter.
That is not just it.
And
it's
I will
also
say
her insecurities and not being comfortable in a setting where like people are just kind of like hanging out. Like, why couldn't she be there?
Well, that's true of almost everyone.
And she has back of head blindness because she sees that other guy who she thinks is Peter because they have the same back of the head, but it's not. The front of his head is different.
I wish she had just called forth the staff of one.
She couldn't see the front of his head.
Mm-hmm. She could have called forth the staff of one and cast a one-off spell that would change the situation.
I'll get back to that. Yeah, no, actually, I'll say that. I was going to make a joke about front of heads, but it passed. It passed.
Good.
I do think we're going to see more importance with her, and the reason that I think we're going to get back to the spider and all of that is when the not a Venom symbiote is going after people, he sees Nico and she's glowing blue, and that's why it goes after her. So clearly she is magic, or she's going to be magic. She's going to get the Staff of One or something like that. We're definitely going to see more about her later.
Or maybe the blue, because how like Spider-Man saw pearl and saw pink and hearts, maybe the spider saw blue and that's his kind of pink hearts. You know what I mean?
So you think the not Venom is in love with Nico?
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Romance is in the air.
Take.
Yeah. But
what else? Yes.
I do think it's because it's tough because it's like, okay, we switched. It's not Tony being, it's Norman Osborn. And it's just stressful because it's like, is this a good Norman Osborn? Is it going to be a bad Norman Osborn? And kind of like the stress of that, where it's like, I wish I was coming into this cleaner. Like, I wish I could enjoy this more.
Because you don't know about.
Yeah.
But they're 100% definitely playing off your expectations of Norman Osborn. Like,
but wouldn't it be nice if Norman Osborn wasn't an evil person? Like, how about this be the one time Norman is cool? But I doubt.
Well, but maybe it will be. You don't. That's what Alex is saying. Is it's like the Ultimate Universe.
He's a
current iteration. It's bouncing off your expectations.
Runs a giant evil corporation. I don't think it's going to go well for him.
So far, the show has presented Oscorp, except for the fact that he saw the logo on Butane's arm glove.
That should be a red flag, bro. Also, did you see that like welcoming video? Come on.
But you know what that moment was like? When Tony Stark sees a Stark logo on a missile that kills people. So like you don't know. We don't know. Like, it could be anything. He might be an actual mentor to him in the way that we just haven't seen yet. So, like, that could be, it could be good. I mean, the Uncle Ben character was that, and he's been dismissed from this origin. So maybe that's what Norman will be.
I hope he's not dismissed.
A couple of other notes that I wrote down. I don't know if you guys caught this, but Zach Cherry's character cameoed in here during the first action scene of the first episode. If you guys don't remember him, it's Kelv or Clev.
Guy in the buffs. Yeah.
The guy who's like, do a flip, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The first movie. He doesn't say it, but Spider-Man does a flip over him, which I thought was very cute.
Very fun. Shouts to Zach Cherry's ascendance. It's worth making that callback.
Dr. Whitman calling Spider-Man Hawkeye was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. How about Dr. Whitman being played by Paul F. Tompkins?
Hey! Yeah.
That was great. Great voice cast, I would say, pretty much across the board. I had seen a couple of people lumping on Hudson Taves as Spider-Man beforehand. They were like, he's the one person that I'm like, about. I thought he was fine. Like, other than his personal views. I thought
also,
the personal views... Good.
The dad jokes, like, during the fire was a little like, oh, you almost turned into a hot dog. I was like, who is writing this guy's dialogue? Like, this is, like, not something a kid would do.
Well, that doesn't have to do with his voice performance. That's just
I'm not saying his voice performance. I moved on. I'm just saying
Peter,
that.
You're saying.
Justin was talking about, like, these updated dialogue. I just thought like Peter Parker making dad jokes was a little kind of weird. The spider dog was kind of fun, but the other stuff was a little.
I would have called out the line, "How many home runs did they slam dunk?" as something made me want to just really turn the TV off with my hand, like really punch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because that is not the kind of dialogue I want to ever see anywhere.
It's a joke Alex would make.
It is. I loved it. Felt perfect. I finally see myself on screen, and I don't feel old anymore because I identify with a teenager. I like the mix of Asha, Amadeus, and Jean. I thought that was fun. I hope we see more of them.
Yeah, his walkout was fun.
Yeah, and I like that, like, I don't know, this is a little thing, but I like the fact that they didn't do everything went horribly wrong at the internship so much as he actually got an interesting thing that was different than the thing that he wanted to do with Dr. Carla Connors. I thought that was a nice bit of plotting.
Yeah, and it is working that Peter Parker just has an urge to do good as opposed to something that the Ben death had to generate in him. You know, I feel like we're just built to being like Spider-Man has to like be a jerk, then let the burglar go, and then learn a lesson. But actually, you could just be a good person and be like, oh, I can help these people in this fire, and go feel obligated to go do it. So like that's actually, I don't mind that missing thing. It's just wild to have that.
Are you sure? Because my uncles haven't died yet, and I've never done anything good.
Yeah, and I've been honestly wanting to. No. I've been trying to talk to your uncles about at least faking their death, one of their deaths, to try to teach you a lesson. It's a little late.
Abject evil all the time.
Alex, you might want to maybe talk to somebody or think about that a little bit. You know?
What do you think this podcast?
Oh, God damn it. No, you're wasting it on us.
We're his Uncle Ben's, Pete. One of us has to die.
Fuck. Oh, the responsibility. Oh man.
The power,
Yeah,
the responsibility.
Geez. Oh.
Any
great.
other notes from the episode? Other things to call out? I forgot about this, but I really like the scene at the end of the first episode where he turns the criminal to the pizza guy.
Yes, I meant to highlight this.
Yeah, talk about
Great.
it.
Free pizza was nice.
Well, like it was a scene that I felt, it felt like it didn't need to, from a story perspective, it didn't need to be there, except to show a different idea of what justice is and giving people a second chance, something I think culturally we've lost. And I like that Spider-Man, that Peter Parker is like, hey, can we work this out? And, the pizza shop owner's a little hesitant, but then goes along and like, that just felt good. It was a scene that really established him as a hero in a way that made the way he is hyper mature feeling as a kid in a kid's body felt good, as opposed to him being a cliche spewing dork for a lot of the episodes. That felt like a good way that he is older beyond his years.
Also, it was nice because it also showcases how the pizza person is actually better than Spider-Man. You know what I mean? To be able to kind of just be like, you know what, you're right.
And
How is he better?
well, they both let the criminal off, but the pizza guy gave him free pizza. Like technically he's like above Spider-Man. If Spider-Man had also given him free pizza, they would have been even.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I look forward to when you guys send out your daily power rankings of people you encounter. That's really, I love that in my inbox every night. When you're like, mailman, -2.
Another thing that I thought was very different and kind of threw me, but I think I know why they're doing this, is the fact that everybody likes both Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Usually you get Peter has a couple of friends, but he's a dork, but there's a bully who's beating him up. Like Lottie would be that bully, and he's just not. And from the Spider-Man perspective, everybody's cheering him and likes him and enjoys him. And I think we're setting it up to the place where like everything is going to go horribly wrong and he's going to end up destroying everything in his life because that's Spider-Man. And I almost feel like if they don't go in that direction, they haven't gotten the essential nature of Peter Parker. But it's really same as the pizza scene, surprisingly positive right now, which is very nice to watch.
I also thought it was really interesting how the pyro guy was clearly like a realtor of some kind, because he was like, he gives Spidey a whole sales pitch about turning around how real estate works in New York City. So it was just, it was a interesting moment. I do find myself wrestling with like Spider-Man from the comics, the movie that we know, the most recent movie, and where is this all fit in, and who is this, and what kind of villain is this going to be? But it was just this interesting kind of like, this person is a paid thug who also really believes in shitty kind of horrible real estate deals. It was a weird combination where it was like, he wasn't horrible. He was also like I don't know.
Wait, are you on Butane's side here when it comes to like
how
real estate works?
No, I just think
you're really
it's awful. The whole thing about like trashing a place and then kind of like driving down the price. I mean, that's just crazy.
Interesting. It's interesting.
No, but I
cut to Pete trying to build his own.
Well, it's this thing of like, instead of just having like, the villain or whatever is not part of the story, they are taking time to kind of like talk about these people and where they are in their lives and give like their kind of perspectives, which is interesting.
Where's Pete been lately? Oh, he burned down a Rite Aid in his town for some real estate reason. We're trying to get him Wi-Fi in jail, but it hasn't been set up yet.
Yeah.
I did like the bit that he was one block over from where he was supposed to be. I thought that was
agree. Fun, yeah.
But then the fight in the pet shop, I don't know about you guys, very stressful. That was crazy.
I felt bad because I was like, he can't burn down this pet shop.
Yeah. Plus, when he put that little hamsters next to the snake, I was like, oh my God, what are you doing?
That snake was, someone's not feeding that snake. If
that snake's ready.
That snake was ready to go. Finally my time. I did think that fight was good from just well done. Like,
yeah.
But the idea of a burning pet shop full of pets?
So stressful. So stressful.
Didn't like it.
What is that from? That's from a movie. Was it Ace Ventura and he rescues all the pets from the pet store? That's from a movie.
Sounds right. Yeah, maybe it is a reference.
Maybe there's a reference there, but that is definitely something. And I remember
I was thinking Jay and Silent Bob when they kind of like broke in and tried to rescue all those pets.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Any other moments from the episode? Anything else you guys would like to call out? Great.
I just in general, I do think there's a lot of potential here in this series. I hope they can. I think maybe the takeaway here from us would be that Peter Parker is the part of the show that could use a little work, but they will have plenty of time with him. We will have plenty of time with him going forward.
Yeah, I think this is a really, like you said, this is a good, solid base of these episodes. Now that we're past the setup, I'm curious to see where it goes. Obviously, we're a little mixed on the animation and some other things, but there's some fun stuff in here, and I'm excited to follow the show. Yes, Pete, you have a question or a statement or both?
I have a question. When I raise my hand, I have a question. Who you guys shipping? You shipping Nico? You shipping Pearl? You waiting for
Nico
your ships?
And what?
I think Nico and Pearl.
Yeah,
is going to happen, and that's probably it so far.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm not feeling Peter and Pearl. Lonnie and Pearl is nice, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I think the one that I'm interested to see
is Lonnie and Peter.
Sure, we could go that way.
The movie is Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
He keeps going back in to rescue all the That's funny.
Yeah. Oh my God! I'm so glad.
Pee-wee and Ace Ventura, same.
Because we haven't got an MJ yet, so I'm holding out hope.
Yeah.
Holding out hope there for an MJ?
I bet this show will go Gwen Stacy before it goes MJ. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm sure.
That would fly in the face of all of your MCU continuity references that you made earlier, Alex.
Yeah, in your face.
No, I know, but like they're twisting and changing things, and they're like, it's all different now because of Doctor Strange and not a Venom. And yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. And if you'd like to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com/comicbookclub. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about Marvel stuff. Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter/X, Comic Book Club on TikTok, Comic Book Club on Blue Sky, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, stay marvelous.
Guys, come over. I got a DVD of our favorite bands that I want to spin for you after the big slam dunk game.